Broke isn't a budget problem, it's a behavior policy you can cancel today. Most people wake up each morning convinced their financial situation is something that happened to them. They believe poverty is their starting point, their family legacy, or their permanent address. This belief is not just wrong, it's the very thing keeping them trapped. The moment you understand that being broke is a choice, not your fate, everything changes. Not tomorrow, not next month, but right now as you read these words. Think about this carefully. Every person who has ever moved from financial struggle to financial success made one critical discovery. They realized their money situation was not a life sentence. It was a policy they had been unconsciously following, and policies can be changed instantly. The rich didn't get rich because they were born different. They got rich because they chose different actions, different thoughts, and different daily decisions than broke people choose. This isn't about positive thinking or wishful dreaming. This is about recognizing a fundamental truth that wealthy people figured out early. Money follows decisions, and decisions are always within your control. When you see a person with money problems, you're seeing a person who has been making broke decisions. When you see a person building wealth, you're seeing someone who learned to make wealth-building decisions. The difference isn't talent, luck, or family background. The difference is the decision-making pattern they've chosen to follow. Your current financial situation is nothing more than the result of thousands of small choices you've made over months and years. The choice to avoid rather than approach. The choice to consume rather than create. The choice to hope rather than act. The choice to follow rather than lead. Each choice seemed insignificant at the time, but together they created your current reality. The beautiful part is that if choices created your current situation, new choices can create a new situation. 1. Discovery. Realize being broke is a choice, not your fate. Right now, in this moment, you have the power to flip the switch from stuck to self-made. Not through some magical transformation, but through a simple recognition. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are the architect of your circumstances. Every financially successful person had to make this mental shift first, before any external change became possible. Here's what this shift looks like in practice. Instead of saying, "I can't afford it," you start asking, "How can I afford it?" Instead of avoiding money conversations, you seek them out. Instead of consuming content about money, you start creating value that generates money. Instead of waiting for the right moment, you make this moment right by taking action. These aren't personality changes, they're policy changes. The Choose framework will guide you through this transformation. Clarity means getting brutally honest about your current financial reality and where you want to go. History audit means looking back at your money story and identifying where you chose avoidance over action. Options map means recognizing that you always have more choices than you think, especially when you focus on creating value rather than just managing expenses. One decision means picking the single most important financial move you can make right now and committing to it completely. Small experiment means testing your new approach with low risk but real stakes. Evidence loop means tracking what works and doubling down on activities that actually produce money. Your money story up to this point is not your identity, it's just data. When you write out your financial history and circle the moments where you chose comfort over growth, you'll see patterns. Maybe you've been choosing jobs that feel safe over opportunities that could pay more. Maybe you've been choosing to buy things instead of build things. Maybe you've been choosing to learn about money instead of earn money. These patterns aren't character flaws, they're simply habits that can be changed once you see them clearly. Look around and identify 3 people who started where you are now but escaped to financial success. Study their first moves, not their final results. You'll notice something interesting. Their first moves weren't dramatic or expensive. They made one small decision that broke their old pattern, then made another, then another. They didn't wait until they felt ready or confident. They started before they were ready because they understood that confidence comes from action, not the other way around. The most powerful step you can take today is making one irreversible micro-commitment toward wealth building. This might mean scheduling a call to discuss a business idea you've been thinking about. It might mean signing up for a course that teaches a valuable skill. It might mean posting an offer for a service you could provide. The key word is irreversible. You want to choose something that creates forward momentum and makes it harder to go back to your old pattern than to move forward. Here's something that might surprise you. Start referring to yourself as a builder instead of someone who's broke. Change your passwords, your social media bio, your internal self-talk. This isn't fake it till you make it thinking. This is recognizing that you become what you consistently call yourself. Broke people see themselves as broke and act accordingly. Builders see themselves as people who create value and solve problems, then act accordingly. The external world responds to the internal identity you carry. The difference between people who stay stuck and people who break free often comes down to a single moment of decision. Not a big dramatic moment, but a quiet moment when they stop accepting their current financial situation as permanent and start treating it as temporary. They stop explaining why they can't and start figuring out how they can. They stop waiting for conditions to improve and start improving conditions through their actions. Money doesn't care about your past, your family history, your education level, or your current bank balance. Money responds to value creation, consistent action, and clear decisions about what you're building. The person who decides today to become wealthy and starts taking wealth-building actions today has already started the journey. The person who waits for the perfect plan, the right moment, or better circumstances never starts the journey at all. Your financial situation is not happening to you, it's responding to you. The moment you accept complete responsibility for your money situation is the moment you gain complete power to change it. This isn't about blame or shame. It's about recognizing that the same power that created your current situation can create a different situation. You've been choosing broke, now you can choose wealth. The only question is whether you'll make that choice today or keep postponing it until someday. Poverty happens to people through circumstances beyond their control. Staying broke is a policy you maintain through choices within your control. Today, you can cancel that policy and start a new one. The switch from stuck to self-made happens in a single decision, and that decision is available to you right now. 2. The science. Wealth follows exact laws, not luck or chance. If it can be measured, it can be multiplied. This simple truth separates those who stumble into temporary windfalls from those who build lasting wealth. Money isn't mysterious. It follows patterns as predictable as water flowing downhill or seeds growing into harvests. The difference between financial struggle and financial success isn't talent, luck, or timing. It's understanding that wealth operates according to specific laws, then applying those laws consistently until the results become inevitable. Most people treat money like a lottery. They hope, wish, and cross their fingers, believing that financial success requires some magical combination of being in the right place at the right time with the right connections. This thinking keeps them broke. Wealth doesn't happen by accident any more than a building constructs itself or a garden grows without planting. Every fortune follows a formula. Every empire emerges from exact principles applied over time. The moment you realize that wealth follows scientific laws, everything changes. You stop waiting for your lucky break and start creating your systematic breakthrough. You stop looking for shortcuts and start building the right systems. You stop gambling with your future and start engineering your prosperity. Think about every wealthy person you know or have studied. Behind their success, you'll find patterns. They identified what people wanted, they created solutions, they delivered value, they collected payment, and they repeated this process while improving each step along the way. Some did this with products, others with services, still others with their skills or knowledge. The vehicles differed, but the underlying mechanics remained constant. They all followed the same fundamental laws, whether they realized it or not. These laws operate through 4 key forces that multiply your efforts and accelerate your results. Understanding and applying these forces transforms scattered activity into focused power that generates predictable income. The first force is leverage, finding ways to make your efforts count multiple times instead of just once. When you write one letter that goes to 100 people instead of writing 100 individual letters, you've used leverage. When you create something once that can be sold many times, you've used leverage. When you teach one person who then teaches others, you've used leverage. Leverage turns your time into a tool that works even when you're not working. The second force is asymmetry situations where your potential gain far exceeds your potential loss. Every successful business venture involves asymmetry. You invest a small amount of time or money with the possibility of returns that dwarf your investment. You send 10 letters knowing that one positive response can generate more value than the cost of sending all 10. You learn one skill that can be applied to countless situations. Asymmetric opportunities are everywhere once you know how to spot them. They're the foundation of every fortune because they allow small inputs to create large outputs. The third force is workflows, the specific sequences of actions that produce money. Wealth isn't created by random activity but by purposeful processes repeated consistently. Every successful person has developed workflows that move them from effort to income in predictable steps. They know exactly what to do first, second, and third. They know which activities generate the most return and which ones waste time. They've tested, measured, and refined their approach until they can produce results almost automatically. Their workflows become their wealth-generating machines. The fourth force signals the feedback that tells you what's working and what needs adjustment. Money leaves clues. Every action you take produces information that guides your next move. When you send offers, the responses tell you how to improve your message. When you deliver your service, the results tell you how to enhance your value. When you collect payment, the ease or difficulty tells you about your pricing. People who get rich pay attention to these signals and adjust accordingly. People who stay broke ignore the feedback and repeat the same mistakes. These forces work together like gears in a machine. Leverage multiplies your efforts. Asymmetry multiplies your returns. Workflows multiply your consistency. Signals multiply your improvement. Applied together, they create a compounding effect that turns modest beginnings into substantial wealth over time. The key is treating your income like an equation that can be solved rather than a mystery that must be endured. Every income has inputs that go through processes to create outputs. Most people focus only on working harder, increasing their inputs through more hours or more effort. Smart people focus on improving the processes, the systems that convert inputs into outputs. The wealthiest people focus on both while also multiplying their leverage and improving their workflows based on the signals they receive. Start by mapping your current income equation. What inputs do you provide? What process converts those inputs into money? What outputs do you create for others? Once you can see the equation clearly, you can improve it systematically. If you provide services, your inputs might be time and skill. Your process might be delivering solutions to problems, and your outputs might be results that improve someone's situation. If you sell products, your inputs might be materials and labor, your process might be manufacturing and distribution, and your outputs might be items that make people's lives better or easier. Now, identify where you can add leverage. Can you create something once that serves multiple people? Can you teach your process to others who can multiply your capacity? Can you record your best work so it can be delivered even when you're not present? Leverage is the difference between trading hours for money and building systems that generate money while you sleep. Next, look for asymmetric opportunities within your current situation. Where can you invest small amounts of time, energy, or resources with the potential for disproportionate returns? This might mean reaching out to people who can open doors, learning skills that command premium prices, or creating offers that solve expensive problems. Asymmetry means your upside potential far exceeds your downside risk. Then develop your workflows into repeatable processes. Document the exact steps that take you from initial effort to final payment. Practice these steps until they become automatic. Time yourself to identify bottlenecks. Test different approaches to find what works best. Your workflows should be so clear and proven that you could teach them to someone else and they would get similar results. Finally, establish your signals, the measurements that tell you whether you're on track or need course correction. Choose 2 leading indicators that predict future income. such as offers, sent, or meetings scheduled. Track these daily. Choose 2 lagging indicators that confirm actual results, such as money collected or new relationships formed. Review these weekly. Leading indicators tell you what to adjust in real time. Lagging indicators tell you whether your adjustments are working over time. The science of wealth isn't complicated, but it does require precision. You must identify the laws that govern money in your situation, then apply those laws consistently until they produce the results you want. Every wealthy person has discovered and applied these principles, whether consciously or instinctively. The only difference is that conscious application speeds up the process and makes the results more predictable. Your assignment is to convert one aspect of your current work from a one-to-one effort into a one-to-many system. Record your best presentation instead of repeating it individually. Write your best advice once instead of giving it separately to each person who asks. Create a template for your most common solution instead of reinventing it every time. This single change will demonstrate how the science of wealth works. Small improvements in systems create large improvements in results, and those improvements compound over time until wealth becomes inevitable. 3. First law. Think in terms of abundance, never scarcity. The difference between wealthy people and broke people isn't their bank account balance. It's how they see the world around them. Wealthy people see endless possibilities, while broke people see limited options. This isn't positive thinking nonsense. This is about rewiring your brain to spot money-making opportunities that scarcity thinking makes invisible. Scarcity thinking is a mental disease that spreads through every decision you make. When you believe there isn't enough money to go around, you price your services low because you're afraid customers will leave. When you think opportunities are rare, you cling to bad situations instead of creating better ones. When you assume resources are limited, you hoard instead of invest. Scarcity thinking doesn't protect you from poverty, it guarantees it. Your brain can only process a tiny fraction of the information hitting your senses every second. What you focus on determines what you see. If you're looking for reasons why something won't work, your brain will find them. If you're scanning for ways to make money, opportunities appear everywhere. This isn't magic, it's basic psychology. Your beliefs create your reality by directing your attention, and your attention determines your actions. Think about the last time you wanted to buy a specific type of car. Suddenly, you started noticing that exact model everywhere on the road. The cars were always there, but your brain filtered them out until they became relevant to your goals. The same principle applies to money. Wealthy people don't live in a different world than you. They just have their mental filters set to notice different things. When you operate from abundance, you see money as something that can be created rather than just moved around. Instead of trying to get your share of existing wealth, you focus on generating new value that didn't exist before. This shift changes everything. You stop competing with others and start creating solutions. You stop cutting prices and start raising the quality of what you deliver. You stop hoarding resources and start investing them to multiply returns. The abundance mindset reveals possibilities that scarcity thinking hides. Instead of seeing one way to make money, you see 10 ways. Instead of having one potential customer, you see entire markets of people who need what you offer. Instead of protecting what little you have, you leverage what you have to create more. This isn't about being unrealistic or overly optimistic. It's about seeing the full range of options available to you. Most people practice scarcity thinking without realizing it. They say things like, money doesn't grow on trees, or you have to work hard for every dollar, or rich people are just lucky. These phrases program your brain to look for evidence that money is difficult to obtain. Your brain obliges by showing you all the reasons why wealth is impossible for someone like you. Meanwhile, abundant thinkers program their brains differently. They ask questions like, how can I create value for more people? And what would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? And how can I solve this problem profitably? The language you use shapes the canavoda, thoughts you think, and your thoughts direct your actions. When you catch yourself using scarcity language, immediately reframe it in terms of abundance. Instead of saying, "I can't afford that," ask, "How can I afford that ethically and quickly?" Instead of thinking, "There's not enough demand for what I offer," consider, "How can I create demand by solving bigger problems?" Instead of believing, "All the good opportunities are taken," explore, "What new opportunities can I create?" Abundant thinking doesn't mean spending money you don't have or ignoring real limitations. It means looking for creative ways to work within or around those limitations. When you face a financial constraint, scarcity thinking sees a dead end. Abundance thinking sees a design challenge. How can you deliver the same value with fewer resources? How can you partner with others who have what you lack? How can you sequence your actions to overcome temporary limitations? The most successful people throughout history shared one common trait. They saw abundance where others saw scarcity. While others complained about problems, they built businesses solving those problems. While others feared competition, they created new categories where competition didn't exist. While others hoarded their knowledge, they taught others and built communities around their expertise. Your current financial situation is the result of thousands of small decisions made through either a scarcity or abundance filter. Every time you chose the cheaper option instead of the better option, you reinforced scarcity thinking. Every time you avoided risk instead of managing risk intelligently, you programmed your brain to see danger instead of opportunity. Every time you focused on what you lacked instead of what you could create, you strengthened the neural pathways that keep you broke. The good news is that you can reprogram these patterns, starting right now. Abundance thinking is a skill you can develop through practice. Begin by looking for evidence that opportunities exist everywhere. Pay attention to problems people complain about, because every problem is a business opportunity waiting for someone to solve it. Notice when successful people share their strategies, because they're giving you blueprints you can adapt to your situation. Start pricing your services based on the value you deliver, rather than what you think people can afford. Most service providers underprice their work because they assume customers have limited budgets. But customers don't buy based on price alone. They buy based on the relationship between price and perceived value. When you deliver exceptional results, price becomes less important than outcomes. This is why luxury brands can charge premium prices while discount providers struggle with tiny margins. Abundant thinking also means investing in yourself and your capabilities instead of just trying to save money. Scarcity-minded people buy the cheapest tools, hire the lowest-priced help, and avoid spending money on education or skill development. Then they wonder why their results are mediocre. Abundance-minded people invest in better tools, quality assistance, and continuous learning because they understand that superior inputs create superior outputs. When you truly embrace abundant thinking, you'll start seeing money-making opportunities in places you never noticed before. You'll spot underserved markets, identify inefficient processes that could be improved, and recognize valuable skills you could develop or monetize. You'll network with successful people instead of avoiding them out of insecurity. You'll take calculated risks instead of playing it safe and staying stuck. The shift from scarcity to abundance thinking doesn't happen overnight, but it can happen quickly if you're intentional about it. Start by questioning every limiting belief you have about money. When you catch yourself thinking, "That won't work for someone like me," ask yourself how you could make it work. When you feel like there's not enough opportunity to go around, look for ways to create new opportunities rather than fighting for existing ones. Replace your scarcity habits with abundance habits. Instead of consuming content that reinforces limitation, study people who've created wealth from situations similar to yours. Instead of complaining about problems, brainstorm solutions you could profit from providing. Instead of competing on price, focus on delivering results so valuable that price becomes secondary. The universe operates on principles of abundance, not scarcity. Energy can't be destroyed, only transformed. Value can be created from nothing more than organized information and focused effort. Markets expand when innovation creates new categories of products and services. Your ability to generate wealth is limited only by your imagination, effort, and persistence. When you align your thinking with these natural principles of abundance, Money flows toward you more easily because you're working with natural forces instead of against them. You stop trying to take wealth from others and start creating wealth for others. You stop seeing money as scarce and start seeing it as the natural result of delivering value. You stop limiting yourself and start expanding into the full range of possibilities available to you. Abundance is a lens first, a ledger later. Change how you see, and you'll change what you achieve. 4. Second law. Your thoughts create your financial reality always. Your mind is a magnet for money, but most people have it set to repel instead of attract. The second law of getting rich reveals a fundamental truth that wealthy people have always known. Your dominant thoughts about money become your dominant reality with played money. This isn't mystical thinking or wishful fantasy. This is mechanical precision. Think of your mind as a radio station that broadcasts on a specific frequency 24 hours a day. Whatever thoughts you think most consistently become the signal you send out to the world. That signal determines which opportunities you notice, which actions you take, and which results you create. Rich people broadcast abundance thoughts and receive abundant results. Poor people broadcast scarcity thoughts and receive scarce results. The universe isn't playing favorites. It's simply matching frequency with frequency. Most people sabotage their wealth before they even begin because they fill their minds with poverty programming. They think about bills they can't pay instead of income they could create. They focus on what they lack instead of what they could build. They rehearse failure instead of practicing success. Then they wonder why money feels so difficult and distant. Your thoughts create your financial reality through a precise sequence that operates like clockwork. First, your dominant thoughts shape your dominant feelings. If you think mostly about financial struggle, you feel mostly stressed and anxious about money. If you think mostly about financial opportunity, you feel mostly excited and confident about money. These feelings then drive your actions. Stressed feelings create hesitant, defensive actions. Confident feelings create bold, creative actions. Your actions then produce your results, and your results reinforce your original thoughts, creating an endless loop. The problem is that most people let this loop run on autopilot, accepting whatever random thoughts drift through their minds about money. They think the same financial thoughts they thought yesterday, which produces the same financial feelings they felt yesterday, which drives the same financial actions they took yesterday, which creates the same financial results they got yesterday. They're stuck in a thought-reality loop that keeps generating the same outcomes over and over again. Breaking this loop requires you to become the deliberate director of your mental programming instead of its passive victim. You must consciously choose thoughts that align with the financial reality you want to create. This doesn't mean lying to yourself with empty affirmations or pretending you're already wealthy when your bank account says otherwise. It means training your mind to think like someone who naturally creates wealth. The framework for directing your thoughts toward wealth follows 4 essential steps: thoughts, rehearsal, utility, and execution. Together, these elements form the TRUE system that transforms your mental programming from poverty-producing to wealth-generating. Thoughts are the raw material of your financial reality. Every dollar you will ever earn begins as a thought in someone's mind. Every business that generates millions started as thoughts in an entrepreneur's mind. Every investment that compounds into wealth started as thoughts in an investor's mind. Your job is to fill your mind with thoughts that naturally lead to wealth-creating actions. Instead of thinking about your current financial limitations, think about your future financial possibilities. Instead of dwelling on past money mistakes, focus on present money opportunities. Instead of worrying about bills you need to pay, concentrate on value you could create. Instead of complaining about your current income, design plans for increasing your income. This shift requires constant vigilance because your mind has been programmed for years to default to scarcity thinking. Every time you catch yourself thinking a poverty thought, you must immediately replace it with a wealth thought. When you think, "I can't afford that," replace it with, "How can I afford that?" When you think, "Money is hard to make," replace it with, "Money flows to value creators." When you think, Rich people are greedy. Replace it with wealthy people solve valuable problems. Rehearsal is where you practice your desired financial reality in your mind before you create it in your bank account. Professional athletes rehearse their performance mentally before they step onto the field. Successful speakers rehearse their presentations mentally before they step onto the stage. Wealthy people rehearse their financial success mentally before they step into the marketplace. Mental rehearsal works because your brain cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined experience and a real one. When you repeatedly visualize yourself successfully creating wealth, your brain begins to believe that wealth creation is normal and natural for you. This belief then guides your behavior toward actions that make wealth creation inevitable. Spend time each day mentally rehearsing your financial success with specific, detailed imagery. See yourself confidently making offers that people eagerly accept. Picture yourself skillfully negotiating deals that benefit everyone involved. Imagine yourself calmly managing larger and larger amounts of money. Visualize your bank account growing steadily as you create increasing value for others. The key to effective mental rehearsal is combining visualization with specific action planning. Don't just imagine yourself being wealthy. Imagine yourself doing the specific things that wealthy people do. See yourself making the calls you need to make, having the conversations you need to have, and taking the actions you need to take. This programs your mind not just for wealth as an outcome, but for wealth-creating behavior as a habit. Utility means making your thoughts practically useful instead of merely positive. Many people fill their minds with vague affirmations, like, "I am wealthy," or "money comes easily to me," without connecting these thoughts to specific actions. These feel-good statements might improve your mood temporarily, but they don't improve your bank account permanently. Useful thoughts are thoughts that lead directly to useful actions. Instead of thinking, "I am wealthy," think, "I create valuable solutions that people pay well for." Instead of thinking, "Money comes easily to me," think, "I make irresistible offers to people who need what I provide." Instead of thinking, "I deserve abundance," think, "I earn abundance by delivering exceptional value." Transform every financial thought into an action-oriented thought by adding specific behavioral components. When you think about the money you want to earn, also think about the value you will create to earn it. When you think about the lifestyle you want to enjoy, also think about the work you will do to afford it. When you think about your financial goals, also think about the daily habits that will achieve them. This connection between thoughts and actions prevents your mental programming from becoming disconnected from reality. Your mind stays focused on wealth-creating possibilities, while staying grounded in wealth-creating activities. You maintain optimism about your financial future while maintaining responsibility for your financial actions. Execution is where your mental programming transforms into physical results. Your thoughts only create your financial reality when they drive you to take wealth-creating action. The most powerful financial thinking in the world produces $0 if it doesn't motivate you to do something valuable that other people will pay for. Create specific if-then scripts that automatically translate your financial thoughts into financial actions. When you think about needing more money, your script might be, "If I think about needing money, then I immediately make 5 offers to potential customers." When you think about a financial goal, your script might be, "If I think about my income target, then I immediately work on my highest value activity for 30 minutes. These if-then scripts remove the gap between thinking and doing that keeps most people stuck in financial mediocrity. Instead of just thinking about money and hoping something good happens, you automatically take money-making action every time you have money-making thoughts. Your thoughts become triggers for wealth-creating behavior instead of substitutes for wealth-creating behavior. Track your thought-to-action conversion rate by monitoring how often your financial thinking leads to financial doing. If you think about money 10 times today but only take wealth-creating action twice, your conversion rate is 20%. If you think about money 10 times and take wealth-creating action 8 times, your conversion rate is 80%. Higher conversion rates create higher income rates. The power of the second law lies in its inevitability. When you consistently think thoughts that lead to wealth-creating actions, those actions inevitably produce wealth-creating results. When you consistently rehearse financial success in your mind, you consistently perform financial success in your life. When you consistently program your thoughts for abundance, you consistently experience abundance in your reality. Your thoughts are creating your financial reality right now, whether you're directing them consciously or letting them run wild unconsciously. The choice is yours. You can let random thoughts create random financial results, or you can use deliberate thoughts to create deliberate financial success. Direct your mind to direct your money, and watch both transform together. 5. Third law. Act in a certain way, not just think positively. The universe doesn't care about your intentions. It only responds to your actions. You can think about money all day long. You can visualize yourself wealthy, repeat affirmations until your voice goes hoarse, and fill journals with dreams of financial freedom. But if you spend your days scrolling through distractions instead of making offers, money will remain as elusive as smoke in the wind. This is where most people who study wealth building get stuck. They master the mental game but never cross the bridge into physical action. They become professional dreamers instead of professional earners. They mistake motion for progress and confuse preparation for performance. Money is earned in the physical realm through specific, repeated actions. Every dollar in your account is the direct result of someone, somewhere, doing something that created value for another person. No exceptions, no shortcuts, no cosmic windfalls for good intentions. The wealthy act in a certain way, and their actions follow a predictable pattern. They wake up each day and prioritize activities that directly produce income. They don't wait for inspiration or motivation. They don't need to feel ready or confident. They simply perform the tasks that make money flow toward them, regardless of how they feel in the moment. This distinction separates those who get rich from those who stay broke. Broke people act when they feel like it. Rich people act according to their schedule. Broke people wait for perfect conditions. Rich people create conditions through action. Broke people make excuses. Rich people make money. Consider the difference between a musician who dreams of performing at concert halls and one who books herself at local venues every weekend. Both might have equal talent and desire, but only one is taking the actions that lead to larger opportunities. The dreamer might spend years preparing for a big break that never comes. The performer builds her reputation and income one show at a time, creating her own breaks through consistent action. The same principle applies to wealth building. You must act your way into riches, not think your way there. Every day that passes without revenue-producing action is a day your financial situation either stagnates or moves backward. Time is the one resource you cannot reclaim, and wealthy people treat each day as an opportunity to move closer to their financial goals through deliberate action. The framework that governs wealth-producing action is simple: revenue first, evidence weekly, velocity always. Every action you take should either directly generate income or build the foundation for future income. Every week, you must be able to point to measurable evidence that your actions are working, and you must maintain constant velocity, never allowing momentum to die. Revenue-first thinking means that when you sit down to work, you immediately ask yourself what you can do right now to bring money into your life. Can you make an offer to someone? Can you follow up with a previous prospect? Can you create something valuable that someone will pay for today? These actions take priority over everything else, including learning, planning, and organizing. Most people have this backward. They spend their prime hours on activities that feel productive but generate no income. They research instead of reaching out to potential clients. They perfect their craft instead of presenting their current skills to the market. They organize their workspace instead of working. They attend networking events instead of directly contacting people who can buy from them. The wealthy flip this sequence. They make offers first, then improve their offerings based on market feedback. They sell their current capabilities while developing better ones. They generate revenue with their existing skills while learning new ones. They prioritize income-producing activities during their peak energy hours and handle administrative tasks when their energy is lower. This approach requires you to become comfortable with imperfection. You cannot wait until your product is perfect, your pitch is polished, or your confidence is unshakable. The market will teach you what perfection looks like better than any amount of private preparation. You learn by doing, not by thinking about doing. Evidence-based action means tracking what works and amplifying it while eliminating what doesn't. Every week, you should be able to answer specific questions about your progress. How many offers did you make? How many people responded positively? How much money came in? What actions produced the best results? What actions wasted your time? Without this evidence-gathering system, you cannot improve your approach or identify which actions deserve more of your attention. Many people work hard but work blindly, repeating ineffective actions because they feel busy rather than measuring whether their busyness translates into income. The wealthy keep simple scorecards that track their most important activities. They know exactly how many prospects they need to contact to generate a client. They know how much time should pass between initial contact and closing a deal. They know which marketing messages work and which ones fall flat. This data guides their daily decisions and helps them focus their energy on the activities that produce the best results. Velocity means maintaining constant forward motion toward your financial goals. Some days you will feel motivated and accomplish great things. Other days you will feel tired, distracted, or discouraged. Wealthy people perform on both types of days because they understand that consistency matters more than intensity. On your best days, you might make 20 offers and close 3 deals. On your worst days, you might only make 1 offer and get no response. But making 1 offer on a bad day maintains your momentum and keeps your pipeline active. Doing nothing kills momentum and forces you to start rebuilding it from zero. Think of wealth building like physical fitness. Someone who exercises intensely once per week will see fewer results than someone who exercises moderately every day. The daily exerciser builds momentum, creates habits, and maintains steady progress. The weekly exerciser starts and stops repeatedly, never building enough momentum to create lasting change. The same pattern applies to income-producing activities. Daily action, even in small amounts, produces better results than sporadic bursts of intense effort. The person who makes 1 offer every day will out-earn the person who makes 50 offers once per month, because daily action creates relationships, builds reputation, and maintains visibility in the market. Your wealth-building actions should become as automatic as brushing your teeth. You don't wake up each morning deciding whether to brush your teeth based on how you feel. You do it because it's part of your daily routine. Revenue-producing activities deserve the same level of consistency and priority. Start by identifying the 5 most important actions you can take each day to bring money into your life. These might include making offers to potential clients, following up with previous contacts, creating valuable content, reaching out to new prospects, or improving existing products based on customer feedback. Commit to completing these 5 actions every day, regardless of your mood, energy level, or circumstances. Schedule them for your peak productivity hours when you have the most focus and energy. Treat them as appointments with your future wealth that cannot be rescheduled or canceled. Track your daily completion of these actions using a simple checklist or scorecard. At the end of each week, review your results and identify patterns. Which actions produce the best outcomes? Which days were most productive? What obstacles prevented you from taking action? And how can you remove them? Action without proper thinking leads nowhere, but thinking without action leads to the same destination. The wealthy combine clear thinking with consistent action, using their minds to guide their behavior rather than replace it. They think strategically and act tactically, never allowing analysis to become a substitute for performance. Your financial future depends not on what you know or how you feel, but on what you do consistently over time. Every day you delay taking action is a day your competitors get ahead, your skills remain dormant, and your dreams stay dreams. The universe is waiting to reward your actions with money, but you must act first. 6. The shift. Stop competing. Start creating new value instead. Broke isn't a budget problem, it's a behavior policy that keeps you trapped in markets where everyone fights over scraps. You wake up each morning and enter the same battlefield as thousands of others. You offer what they offer. You price what they price. You beg for attention from the same pool of people who have already heard every pitch a dozen times. Then you wonder why money feels so hard to catch and even harder to keep. The brutal truth is that competition kills wealth. When you compete, you surrender control of your income to forces outside yourself. Your success depends on being slightly better, slightly faster, or slightly cheaper than the person beside you. That's not a business strategy, that's a prayer wrapped in desperation. The wealthy understand something different. They don't compete for existing money. They create new money by solving problems no one else is solving. They don't fight for market share. They invent entirely new markets where they are the only logical choice. This shift from competitor to creator is not just a business tactic. It's a complete rewiring of how you approach every money decision. Instead of asking, "How can I do this better than others?" you start asking, "What would make others irrelevant?" Consider the person who notices that busy parents struggle to find healthy meals their children will actually eat. Instead of opening another restaurant that serves the same food as every other restaurant, they create meal kits designed specifically for families with picky eaters. They don't compete with restaurants. They create a new category where restaurants cannot follow. Or think about the consultant who realizes that most business advice is too generic to implement. Instead of offering generic business consulting like thousands of others, they develop a specific system for helping bakeries double their profits in 90 days. They don't compete with other consultants. They own the category of bakery profit acceleration. This is the power of creation over competition. When you create new value, you write the rules. When you compete for existing value, you follow rules written by others. The framework for making this shift is captured in 6 letters that spell create. Each letter represents a specific way to move from the crowded marketplace into your own private kingdom. The first letter stands for category angle. Most people position themselves within existing categories and then try to stand out. Creators position themselves as the category. They don't want to be the best copywriter in their city. They want to be the only person who writes sales letters specifically for furniture stores. They don't want to be another life coach. They want to be the only coach who helps divorced women rebuild their confidence through learning new skills. Your category angle should be so specific that when someone describes their exact problem, only one name comes to mind: yours. The second letter represents results monopoly. Competition focuses on features and credentials. Creation focuses on outcomes that only you can deliver. When you own a specific result, price becomes irrelevant because alternatives don't exist. Think about the result your ideal client wants most desperately. Now think about the specific way you deliver that result. Can someone else deliver the same result using your exact method? If yes, you're still competing. If no, you're starting to create. The third letter means eliminate comparisons. The moment someone can compare you to someone else, you lose control of the conversation. Creators make comparison impossible by combining elements that have never been combined before. You might take the accountability of a personal trainer, the strategy of a business consultant, and the community of a support group, then blend them into something that has never existed. When prospects try to compare you to others, they find no reference point. You become the reference point. The fourth letter stands for assets over hours. Competitors sell their time. Creators sell their systems. When you compete, your income is limited by how many hours you can work. When you create, your income is limited only by how many people need what you've created. This means turning everything you know into something you own. Your process becomes a method. Your method becomes a system. Your system becomes a product that works whether you're present or not. The value exists independently of your personal involvement. The fifth letter represents teach your method. The fastest way to own a category is to educate the market about why that category matters. Competitors hide their methods to protect their advantage. Creators share their methods to build their authority. When you teach people how you think about their problem, they start thinking about their problem the way you think about it. When they're ready to solve that problem, you're not just the obvious choice. You're the only choice that makes sense. The sixth letter stands for experience design. Competitors focus on delivering the promised result. Creators focus on how it feels to get that result. They control not just the outcome, but the entire journey from first contact to final delivery. This means thinking beyond what you deliver to how you deliver it. What does someone experience in their first 5 minutes with you that they can't experience anywhere else? How do you make the process of solving their problem as memorable as the solution itself? The shift from competition to creation requires courage, because it means walking away from proven formulas that others are using successfully. It means trusting that the market will respond to something that doesn't yet exist. It means betting on your ability to solve problems in ways that haven't been tried before. But here's what makes this bet intelligent rather than risky. When you create new value, you don't need to be perfect. You just need to be first. The market rewards pioneers more generously than it rewards perfection. Being the first person to solve a problem in a specific way is worth more than being the 100th person to solve it perfectly. Start by writing your category of one statement. This is a single sentence that positions you as the only person who delivers a specific result for a specific group of people in a specific way. The template is simple. I'm the only, your role, who, your unique promise, for your specific niche. Your unique promise isn't what you do. It's the specific way you do what you do that creates results others can't replicate. Your specific niche isn't everyone who might benefit from your work. It's the exact group of people who benefit most from your specific approach. Once you have your category of one statement, your next task is to convert your process into a named method. Every creator owns a system that bears their name, or a name they created. The system makes their approach teachable, repeatable, and valuable independent of their personal involvement. Your named method should capture the key steps someone must take to get the result you promise. It should be simple enough to explain in 5 minutes, but comprehensive enough to deliver the promised outcome. Most importantly, it should reflect your unique perspective on how this type of problem should be solved. The exercise that cements this shift is to list 10 industry norms that you could violate while delivering better outcomes. Every industry has assumptions about how things must be done. These assumptions create opportunities for creators who are willing to test different approaches. Maybe everyone in your industry works one-on-one, but you could deliver better results working with small groups. Maybe everyone charges monthly fees, but you could create more value by charging for results. Maybe everyone takes 6 months to deliver outcomes, but you could deliver the same outcomes in 6 weeks by eliminating unnecessary steps. When you violate norms that don't serve your clients, you don't just differentiate yourself. You create new standards that others will eventually follow. You become the creator of tomorrow's best practices instead of the follower of yesterday's traditions. The shift from competing to creating is not just about making more money. It's about claiming the freedom to work on your own terms with people who appreciate what you bring to their lives. When you create new value, you attract people who are excited to work with you rather than people who are comparing you to cheaper alternatives. Creators print markets while competitors clip coupons. The choice is yours to make, and the time to make it is now. 7. The formula. Give more in value than you take in money. The moment you understand this formula, price resistance vanishes forever. When someone pays you money, they are not buying your time or your product. They are buying an outcome that is worth more to them than the money they are giving you. The wider the gap between the value they receive and the price they pay, the easier the sale becomes and the more grateful they feel afterward. Most people approach money backward. They think about what they need to charge to cover their costs and make a profit. They calculate their expenses, add a margin, and hope someone will pay. This approach creates struggle because it focuses on your needs instead of their value. The customer does not care about your bills or your desired lifestyle. They care about what you can do for them and whether it is worth more than keeping their money. The formula is simple but profound. Value must exceed price by such a wide margin that saying no feels foolish. When you master this principle, selling becomes a service and buying becomes obvious. The customer thanks you for the opportunity to exchange their money for something worth much more. Think about the last time you made a purchase without hesitation. Perhaps you hired someone to fix a problem that was costing you sleep and stress. Maybe you bought something that saved you hours of work or delivered a result you could not achieve alone. In those moments, the value was so clear and compelling that price became secondary. You would have paid more if necessary because what you received was worth more than what you gave. This same principle applies to everything you offer. Whether you provide a service, create products, or solve problems, your focus must be on delivering outcomes that exceed expectations. The money follows naturally when value leads the way. People pay eagerly for results they need and appreciate. They resist paying for things they do not value or trust. Creating obvious value requires understanding what people actually want versus what they say they want. They might say they want a lower price, but what they really want is confidence that their investment will pay off. They might ask for more features, but what they really need is a solution that works without complication. Listen beneath the surface to discover what outcome would make them feel the money was well spent. The value you deliver exists in multiple layers. The surface layer is the immediate result or product they receive. The deeper layer includes the experience of working with you, the speed of delivery, the quality of communication, and the peace of mind that comes from knowing they made a smart decision. People pay for outcomes, but they treasure experiences that make them feel valued and understood. Your reputation compounds when you consistently deliver more than expected. Customers become advocates who refer others without being asked. They return for additional purchases because they trust you to deliver value. Word spreads about the quality of your work and the integrity of your promises. This reputation becomes an asset that makes future sales easier and allows you to charge premium prices. The opposite approach destroys wealth faster than almost any other mistake. When you deliver less value than you charge, customers feel cheated and tell others about their disappointment. They demand refunds, leave negative reviews, and warn their friends to avoid you. Each transaction becomes more difficult as you fight an uphill battle against a damaged reputation. The short-term gain from overcharging creates long-term pain that costs far more than the immediate profit. Building a value stack transforms how customers perceive your offer. Instead of seeing a single product or service with a price tag, they see multiple components that each provide benefit. The main outcome might be worth the full price alone, but when you add speed, convenience, support, guarantees, and additional benefits, the total value becomes overwhelming compared to the price. Consider how you can multiply the perceived value without multiplying your costs. Perhaps you provide detailed documentation that helps customers implement your solution faster. Maybe you include follow-up support that ensures their success. You might add a guarantee that removes their risk or create a community where they can connect with others who share their goals. Each element increases value while requiring minimal additional effort from you. The guarantee is one of the most powerful tools for demonstrating confidence in your value. When you promise to refund their money if they do not achieve the promised result, you shift the risk from their shoulders to yours. This bold move proves you believe in what you offer and trust your ability to deliver. Most customers will never request a refund when you deliver real value, but knowing they could makes the purchase decision effortless. Your guarantee should be specific and meaningful rather than vague and weak. Instead of promising satisfaction, promise measurable results within a specific time frame. Instead of offering a short refund window, extend it long enough for customers to fully experience the value. Bold guarantees separate you from competitors who hedge their promises and make customers wonder if the value is real. Pricing becomes easier when value is obvious. Instead of defending your price or apologizing for what you charge, you can confidently present the investment required to receive the outcome they need. High prices feel reasonable when value is high. Low prices feel expensive when value is unclear or absent. The relationship between value and price determines whether customers see your offer as a bargain or a risk. Track the value you deliver so you can communicate it clearly. Document the results your customers achieve, measure the time you save them, and calculate the money you help them make or keep. These metrics become proof of your value and justification for your prices. When you can show that customers typically receive 10 times what they invest, charging premium prices becomes natural and ethical. The compound effect of delivering excess value creates wealth that lasts. Happy customers return with bigger projects and refer their friends to you. Your reputation spreads and attracts better opportunities. You can raise your prices because demand exceeds your capacity. The business grows through referrals rather than expensive marketing. Money flows to you because people associate your name with valuable outcomes. This formula requires patience, because building a reputation for value takes time. The temptation to focus on immediate profit rather than long-term value creation can derail progress. Quick money from overpriced or under-delivered offers might seem appealing, but it destroys the foundation of sustainable wealth. Trust takes years to build and seconds to destroy. Start where you are with what you have, but always deliver more than expected. If someone pays you for 1 hour, give them 70 minutes of focused effort. If they expect a basic solution, provide something elegant and thoughtful. If they need results in a week, deliver early when possible. These small acts of value creation compound into a reputation that makes wealth inevitable. The formula works because it aligns your success with the success of others. When your prosperity depends on creating value for customers, you naturally develop skills and systems that benefit everyone. You become more valuable as you help others achieve their goals. Money flows to you as a byproduct of the value you create rather than something you chase directly. When the value delta is obvious, price debates disappear. 8. The vehicle. Choose one business or skill to master completely. Depth beats dabbling every single time. This truth separates those who build lasting wealth from those who chase every shiny opportunity that crosses their path. The richest people you know became rich by doing one thing exceptionally well, not by doing 10 things adequately. They found their vehicle and rode it all the way to financial freedom. Your vehicle is the single business model or skill that will carry you from where you are to where you want to be. It might be selling, writing, building, teaching, or creating. It might be running a service business, manufacturing products, or developing property. The specific vehicle matters less than your commitment to mastering it completely. Most people fail to get rich not because they lack talent or opportunities, but because they scatter their efforts across too many directions. They start a business, then abandon it for another idea before it has time to compound. They learn a skill halfway, then jump to learning something else when progress slows. They plant seeds in 10 different fields instead of tending one garden, until it bears fruit. The science of wealth demands focus because money flows through systems, and systems require time to mature. When you commit to one vehicle for 1 full year, something magical happens. You stop being a beginner and start becoming an expert. You stop competing on price and start commanding premium rates. You stop starting over and start building on what came before. Consider the baker who spends 5 years perfecting bread. He understands flour like a scientist, timing like a conductor, and heat like an artist. His bread commands higher prices because his mastery is evident in every loaf. Compare him to someone who tries bread for 6 months, then switches to pastries, then tries pizza, then attempts catering. The dabbler never develops the depth that creates real value and attracts real money. Your vehicle becomes more valuable the longer you operate it. Your second year is more profitable than your first because you know what works and what wastes time. Your third year leverages lessons from the first 2. By year 5, you have systems, reputation, and expertise that newcomers cannot match. This is how ordinary people create extraordinary results. The key is choosing one niche, one offer, and one engine for getting customers. The niche is who you serve. The offer is what you sell them. The engine is how you find them. These 3 elements must work together like parts of a watch. When they align and you give them time to mature, money begins to flow predictably. Your niche should be specific enough that you can become known for serving them exceptionally well. Instead of helping everyone with everything, help someone specific with something specific. The wedding photographer who only shoots outdoor ceremonies commands higher fees than the photographer who shoots everything. The consultant who only helps restaurants manage cash flow earns more than the consultant who helps any business with any problem. Your offer should solve one important problem completely, rather than many problems partially. The simpler your offer, the easier it is for people to understand, buy, and recommend to others. Complexity confuses buyers and complicates delivery. Simple offers scale because they can be systematized and repeated. Your engine for finding customers should be something you can get better at every day. If you choose writing, you can write better articles that attract more readers over time. If you choose speaking, you can give better presentations that generate more opportunities. If you choose personal outreach, you can refine your messages and improve your results. The engine you choose matters less than your commitment to improving it consistently. Many people resist this focus because they fear missing out on other opportunities. They worry that committing to one direction means closing doors to other possibilities. This thinking is backwards. When you become exceptionally good at one thing, more doors open than you could ever walk through. The master baker gets offered opportunities to teach, write books, open multiple locations, or consult for other bakeries. Mastery creates options that mediocrity never sees. The compound effect applies powerfully to your chosen vehicle. Your first month generates modest results. Your third month builds on the second. Your sixth month leverages everything you learned in the first 5. Your 12th month benefits from a full year of refinement, relationship building, and reputation development. This compounding cannot happen if you keep switching vehicles every few months. Your vehicle also creates what you might call data advantages. The longer you operate in one area, the better you understand what customers really want, how to price your offers, which marketing messages work, and how to deliver results efficiently. This insider knowledge becomes a competitive advantage that newcomers cannot quickly replicate. People will tell you to diversify, to have multiple streams of income, to hedge your bets across different opportunities. This advice comes from people who do not understand how wealth is actually created. Diversification is for preserving wealth, not creating it. You diversify after you get rich, not before. The getting rich part requires focused intensity on your chosen vehicle. Your vehicle should feel natural to operate, but challenging to master. You want something that uses your existing strengths but pushes you to develop new capabilities. The sweet spot is work that you can do well immediately but will take years to do exceptionally. This gives you early wins while creating room for long-term growth. The vehicle you choose today does not have to be the vehicle you operate forever, but it should be the only vehicle you operate for at least the next 12 months. Give it time to compound. Give yourself time to get good at it. Give the market time to recognize your expertise. Most people abandon their vehicle just before it starts producing significant results. When you feel tempted to chase new opportunities, remember that the grass always looks greener in other fields. The person running the business you admire has problems you cannot see and challenges you do not understand. Your current vehicle, properly developed, can become just as profitable as any other vehicle, probably more so because you will have the advantage of deep experience. Success leaves tracks, and those tracks usually lead in one direction for a sustained period. The wealthy person you admire got that way by doing something specific very well for a long time, not by jumping between opportunities. They found their vehicle and stayed with it through the difficult early stages, the boring middle stages, and into the rewarding mastery stages. Your vehicle is waiting for you to choose it and commit to it completely. The sooner you choose and the longer you stick with your choice, the sooner you will experience the compound returns that transform your financial reality. Depth beats dabbling because money flows to mastery, and mastery only comes through sustained focus on your chosen vehicle. 9. The action. Do something toward wealth every single day. Broke people wait for motivation. Rich people show up regardless. The difference between those who build wealth and those who just talk about it comes down to one brutal truth. Daily action creates daily results. Not weekly action when you feel inspired. Not monthly bursts when the bills pile up. Daily action, even when you don't want to, especially when you don't want to. Most people treat wealth building like they treat exercise. They wait for the perfect moment, the perfect plan, the perfect energy level. They think they need to feel ready before they start moving. This is backwards thinking that keeps bank accounts backwards too. Action creates readiness, not the other way around. The wealthy understand something the broke never learn. Consistency beats intensity. Every single time. One phone call every day for a year beats 100 phone calls in 1 week, followed by 11 weeks of nothing. One page written daily creates books. One connection made daily builds networks. $1 saved daily becomes thousands. Your wealth is not built in the dramatic moments. It's built in the ordinary Tuesday afternoon when you make the call anyway. It's built in the quiet morning hours when you write the letter, send the proposal, or create the thing that might get ignored. It's built in the small moments when nobody is watching and nobody is cheering. This is why most people fail at wealth building. They think it should feel exciting. They think they should wake up energized and inspired every single day, ready to conquer the world. When that feeling doesn't come, they do nothing. They wait for tomorrow's energy to handle today's opportunity. The science of wealth creation has no relationship with your feelings. Money doesn't care if you're tired. Opportunities don't wait for you to feel motivated. The market doesn't pause because you had a rough night or a difficult morning. Wealth flows to those who show up anyway. Consider the power of the streak. When you do something toward wealth every single day, you build momentum that becomes unstoppable. Day 1 feels hard, day 2 feels harder, day 10 feels routine, day 30 feels automatic. Day 90 feels like breathing. Day 365 has created a new person entirely. The wealthy create what they call a minimum viable win. This is the smallest possible action that still moves the needle toward wealth. It might be sending one message to a potential client. It might be writing one paragraph of a book that could generate income. It might be learning one new skill that makes you more valuable. The specific action matters less than the daily commitment to action itself. Your minimum viable win should be so small that you can't use excuses to avoid it. If you say, "You'll write a book," you can find reasons why today isn't the right day. If you say you'll write one sentence, you run out of reasonable objections. If you commit to making 10 phone calls, you can justify why today is too busy. If you commit to making one phone call, you have no defense for inaction. The compound power of daily action creates what others mistake for overnight success. They see someone suddenly wealthy and assume it happened quickly. They don't see the 3 years of daily phone calls. They don't see the 1,000 days of consistent effort when nothing seemed to be working. They don't see the daily actions that built the foundation for what appears to be sudden wealth. Every day you take action toward wealth, you're making a deposit in the bank of future prosperity. Every day you skip action, you're making a withdrawal. Most people make occasional large deposits followed by long periods of withdrawals. The wealthy make small deposits every single day and never make withdrawals. The daily action habit solves the problem of perfect timing. Instead of waiting for the right moment, you create right moments through consistent action. Instead of waiting for opportunity to find you, you create opportunities by showing up daily. Instead of hoping for luck, you manufacture luck through persistent effort. Your daily wealth action should be scheduled, not hoped for. Put it on your calendar like you would any important appointment. Treat it like you would treat showing up for work. You don't go to work only when you feel like it. You don't wait for inspiration to show up for your job. Apply the same discipline to your wealth building. The most successful wealth builders have morning routines that include wealth building actions before the day gets complicated. They make the important calls before the urgent interruptions arrive. They create before they consume. They build before they browse. They invest in their future before they spend on their present. Track your daily actions like a scientist tracking an experiment. Keep a simple record of what you did each day toward wealth. This creates accountability and reveals patterns. You'll notice that your highest wealth-building days often follow your most consistent action days. You'll see that breaks in action create breaks in results. When you miss a day of wealth-building action, don't miss the next day. 1 missed day is a mistake. 2 missed days is a pattern. 3 missed days is a policy. Get back on the streak immediately. The gap between wealth and poverty is often just the gap between giving up and getting back up. Your daily action doesn't need to be perfect. It needs to be present. An imperfect phone call that gets made is infinitely more valuable than a perfect phone call that gets planned but never dialed. A rough draft that gets written moves you closer to wealth than a perfect chapter that exists only in your imagination. The daily action habit transforms your identity, from someone who wants wealth to someone who builds wealth. Actions repeated become habits. Habits repeated become character. Character repeated becomes destiny. When you act toward wealth daily, you become a wealthy person who just hasn't received all the money yet. Most people underestimate what they can accomplish in a year and overestimate what they can accomplish in a day. Daily action flips this script. Each day's action might seem small, but a year of daily actions creates transformational results that shock even the person taking the actions. The day you stop taking daily action toward wealth is the day your wealth building stops. There are no breaks in the science of getting rich. There are no vacation days from the laws of money. There are no weekends off from building your future. Start today. Do something. Do anything. Make the call. Send the message. Write the page. Learn the skill. Save the dollar. The action you take today might seem insignificant, but it's the first domino in a chain reaction that leads to wealth. Tomorrow's action will be the second domino. Next week's actions will be dominoes 3 through 9. A year from today, you'll look back at this moment as the day your wealth building became inevitable. Not because of what you accomplished today, but because of what you started today. The daily actions that feel small today will feel powerful tomorrow and unstoppable next year. The day you don't act toward wealth is the day your future prosperity dies a little. Don't let it die. Keep it alive with daily action, daily effort, daily progress toward the wealth that's waiting for you to earn it. 10. The compound. Small money decisions add up to millions. Most people think wealth arrives in dramatic moments. They picture the big sale, the windfall, the lottery ticket that changes everything overnight. This fantasy keeps them broke because they ignore the quiet mathematical truth that builds every fortune. Compounding multiplies whatever you feed it, and the smallest inputs create the largest outcomes when given enough time. The person who saves $5 today and invests it wisely will have more money in 40 years than the person who earns $1,000 today and spends it all. The person who learns one new skill every month will command higher fees in 5 years than someone who waits for the perfect course to transform them instantly. The person who makes one meaningful connection each week will have a network worth millions, while others wait for the right conference to change their life. Compounding works because it builds upon itself. Your money earns money. Your skills develop faster as your foundation grows stronger. Your reputation attracts opportunities that create more reputation. But here lies the challenge that defeats most people. Compounding demands patience in a world that promises instant results and consistency when motivation comes and goes like weather. The mathematics of compounding reveals why small decisions matter more than grand gestures. Improve any area of your financial life by just 1% consistently, and you will double your results in 70 days through the power of accumulated growth. This applies to everything: the prices you charge, the value you deliver, the money you save, the skills you build, and the relationships you nurture. Consider the person who raises their prices by 1% every month. After 1 year, they earn 13% more than when they started. After 5 years, their income has grown by 80%. Meanwhile, their competitor who raised prices once by 20% and then stopped is earning less money and serving the same type of clients. The steady climber compounds their credibility along with their income, while the dramatic price jumper creates resistance and loses momentum. The same principle applies to learning. Reading 10 pages of a valuable book every day gives you 18 books per year and a transformed understanding of your field. Watching one educational video daily provides 365 new concepts annually. Taking one small action toward mastery each day creates expertise that cannot be purchased or faked. Yet most people wait for weekends to learn, then spend those weekends catching up on everything except growth. Your network compounds through the same mathematics. Speaking meaningfully with one new person each week creates 52 new connections annually. If each person introduces you to just one other valuable contact, you have doubled your network through natural expansion. In 5 years, this gentle consistency builds a web of relationships that generates opportunities, referrals, partnerships, and possibilities that cannot be created any other way. Money itself compounds most powerfully when you understand that every dollar has two jobs: the immediate purpose for which you spend it, and the future wealth it could have generated if invested instead. A person who spends $10 on coffee daily is not just buying coffee, they are choosing coffee over the $40 that money could become in 5 years through compound growth. The person who negotiates their bills down by $20 monthly is not just saving money, they are creating an extra $1,000 of investment capital annually. Most people reverse this equation. They compound their expenses while keeping their assets flat. They upgrade their lifestyle every time their income increases, which prevents compounding from ever beginning. They celebrate earning more money by spending more money, never allowing the gap between income and expenses to widen enough for wealth to accumulate. The wealthy understand that lifestyle inflation is the enemy of compound growth. They live below their means, not from scarcity, but from abundance thinking. They know that every dollar they do not spend today becomes multiple dollars they can spend later without working for them. They delay gratification not because they cannot afford pleasure, but because they prefer the pleasure of financial freedom over the pleasure of immediate consumption. Your skills compound when you apply the same mathematical principles to learning and improvement. The person who practices their craft for 30 minutes daily will surpass the person who practices for 3 hours weekly, even though the weekly total is the same. Daily practice compounds because each session builds directly upon the previous one, while weekly practice requires warming up and remembering where you left off. The compounding effect applies to your reputation and credibility as powerfully as it applies to money and skills. Every promise you keep builds trust that makes the next promise easier to keep and more valuable to others. Every piece of value you deliver creates goodwill that generates referrals, testimonials, and opportunities. Every problem you solve competently increases the complexity and payment of the problems people bring to you. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. The person who delivers excellent work regularly will compound their reputation faster than the person who delivers brilliant work occasionally. Clients and customers need reliability they can count on, not genius they cannot predict. They will pay more for consistent good results than for unpredictable great results. The compound effect extends beyond individual actions to the systems and habits that govern your financial life. Setting up automatic transfers that move money from checking to savings accounts compounds your discipline. Creating standard procedures for how you deliver your services compounds your efficiency. Building templates and processes for common tasks compounds your time by eliminating repeated effort. Most people underestimate compound growth because the early stages feel slow and insignificant. The first months of saving money, learning skills, or building relationships produce results so small they seem pointless. This is exactly when compound growth is doing its most important work, establishing the foundation that will support exponential expansion later. The mathematics are clear, but the psychology is challenging. Compounding requires faith in delayed gratification when everyone around you celebrates immediate consumption. It demands consistency when results are invisible. It asks you to trust in mathematics when emotions push toward impulsive decisions. Your daily money decisions are votes for the future version of yourself you want to become. The choice to save money instead of spending it is a vote for future financial freedom. The choice to learn instead of being entertained is a vote for future expertise and higher income. The choice to build relationships instead of consuming media is a vote for future opportunities and support. The person who understands compounding makes different choices because they see different timelines, while others optimize for this week or this month. They optimize for this decade. While others chase quick wins that fade, they build slow gains that accelerate. While others spend compound growth before it happens, they protect and nurture it until it becomes unstoppable. Compound growth transforms small money decisions into life-changing outcomes because mathematics does not care about your feelings, your timeline, or your impatience. It simply multiplies whatever you consistently feed it, turning tiny inputs into massive outputs through the patient accumulation of incremental progress that becomes exponential results. 11. The protection. Never spend future money you don't have yet. The fastest way to lose wealth is to spend money you haven't earned yet. Every rich person understands this fundamental truth, yet most people live their entire lives violating this principle daily. They buy cars with loans, houses with mortgages, vacations with credit cards, and justify it all by saying they'll earn the money later. This is financial suicide disguised as normal behavior. Protection isn't about being cheap or fearful. It's about understanding that real wealth comes from keeping what you earn, not just earning what you spend. The person who makes $50,000 and keeps $30,000 is wealthier than the person who makes $100,000 and keeps nothing. Cash in your possession today is worth more than promises to pay tomorrow, because cash gives you options while debt takes them away. The wealthy think differently about money than everyone else. They see cash as ammunition for opportunities, not as something to spend the moment it arrives. They understand that having money available creates more money, while owing money destroys future earnings. When you owe payments to others, you're working for them instead of yourself. When you have cash reserves, opportunities come to you instead of passing you by. Most people have their financial priorities completely backward. They focus all their energy on making more money while letting what they already have leak out through 1,000 small holes. They get excited about a raise while carrying credit card debt that costs them more than the raise will ever provide. They celebrate a big sale while having no system to keep any of that money for themselves. This is like filling a bucket with holes in the bottom and wondering why it never gets full. The protection framework works through 6 simple principles that wealthy people follow automatically. First comes profit first, which means you pay yourself before you pay anyone else. Most people pay all their bills and expenses first, then hope something is left over for savings. Wealthy people do the opposite. They take their profit percentage immediately when money comes in, then figure out how to operate on what remains. This forces them to become more efficient and ensures they always keep something from every transaction. Second is reserves, which means maintaining multiple months of operating expenses in cash at all times. Poor people think reserves are luxury they can't afford. Rich people know reserves are the foundation that makes everything else possible. When you have reserves, you can take calculated risks because failure won't destroy you. When you have no reserves, you're forced to take any deal offered because you need money immediately. Reserves give you the power to say no to bad opportunities and yes to great ones. Third is owning low overhead, which means keeping your fixed costs as small as possible relative to your income. Every monthly payment you commit to is a chain around your future earnings. The person with high overhead must keep earning at the same level forever just to survive. The person with low overhead can weather storms, take breaks to retool, and pursue opportunities that might not pay off immediately. Low overhead equals high freedom. Fourth is planning for obligations, particularly the money you'll owe in the future for various commitments. Most people spend money as if they'll never have to pay anything to anyone, then act surprised when quarterly obligations come due. Wealthy people set aside money for future obligations the moment they earn current money. They know that money you'll have to pay later isn't really your money at all. Fifth is eliminating bad debt, which means any debt that doesn't produce more money than it costs. Credit card debt, car loans, and personal loans are financial poison that kills wealth before it can grow. Every dollar you pay in interest is a dollar that can never compound in your favor. Bad debt is like having a leak in your financial boat. No matter how hard you row, you're always taking on water. Sixth is keeping agreements tight, which means being extremely careful about financial commitments you make to others. Every contract you sign, every partnership you enter, every promise you make creates potential claims on your future money. Wealthy people are generous with their time and expertise, but very careful with their financial commitments. They understand that loose agreements lead to expensive problems. The practical application starts with creating separate accounts for different purposes. When money comes in, it gets divided immediately according to predetermined percentages. Profit goes into one account and stays there. Money for future obligations goes into another account. Operating expenses come from a third account. Personal pay comes from a fourth. This system removes the temptation to spend money that should be protected because the money is physically separated from your daily operating funds. The reserve account deserves special attention because it's your most important financial tool. Start building reserves immediately, even if you can only save small amounts. Set a goal of accumulating enough money to cover 6 months of essential expenses without any income. This might seem impossible at first, but it becomes easier as your income grows and your overhead stays controlled. Every dollar in reserves multiplies your options and reduces your stress. Overhead control requires constant vigilance because expenses naturally expand to consume available income. Regular subscription services, monthly payments, and recurring commitments add up quickly and become invisible parts of your financial life. Review every recurring expense monthly and eliminate anything that doesn't directly contribute to your wealth building. The goal isn't to live like a monk, but to ensure that every dollar going out serves a clear purpose. The debt elimination process should follow a clear priority system. Pay minimums on all debts, then attack the highest interest rate debt with maximum intensity. Once that's eliminated, move to the next highest rate. This mathematical approach saves the most money over time. Avoid the temptation to consolidate or refinance unless the new terms are significantly better. Most debt. Consolidation simply extends the pain rather than eliminating it. Future money discipline requires changing your entire relationship with spending decisions. Before making any purchase, ask yourself whether you currently have the money in hand to pay for it completely. If the answer is no, don't buy it. If you have to finance it, lease it, or pay for it over time, you can't afford it. This rule seems harsh, but it's the difference between building wealth and staying broke forever. The protection mindset extends beyond just your personal finances. It applies to business decisions, investment choices, and partnership arrangements. Always assume that promised money won't arrive, projected income won't materialize, and other people won't keep their financial commitments. Plan for the downside and you'll be pleasantly surprised by the upside. Plan for the upside and you'll be destroyed by the downside. Cash flow timing becomes critical as your income grows. Money coming in and money going out rarely happen on the same schedule. You might have large expenses due before large payments arrive. Without proper cash management, you can be profitable on paper but broke in reality. Always maintain enough liquid cash to handle timing gaps between income and expenses. Protection also means protecting yourself from your own impulses and emotions. The excitement of a big sale or a successful month can lead to celebration spending that eliminates the gains. The stress of a slow period can lead to panic decisions that make things worse. Having systems and rules in place prevents emotional money decisions that destroy long-term wealth building. The ultimate goal is creating a financial fortress that can withstand any storm while providing the foundation for future growth. When you never spend money you don't have, keep substantial reserves, maintain low overhead, and eliminate bad debt, you become financially unbreakable. Money flows to people who can handle it responsibly and stays with people who protect it carefully. Protection isn't the enemy of wealth building. Protection is what makes wealth building possible and sustainable over the long term. 12. The result: money flows to you naturally and never leaves. When you own the engine, money is a byproduct. This is the final truth that separates those who get rich from those who stay rich. You can build wealth through clever tactics or lucky breaks, but sustaining wealth requires something deeper. It requires becoming the kind of person money naturally flows toward and wants to remain with. Think of money like water. Water always seeks the lowest point, following the path of least resistance until it finds a stable place to settle. Money behaves similarly, but instead of seeking low ground, it seeks fertile ground. It flows toward people who have created the right conditions for it to grow, multiply, and feel secure. When you become that person, making money stops being something you do and becomes something you are. The transformation happens through what I call the flow framework. This represents the 4 pillars that turn you from someone who chases money into someone money chases. The flywheel creates momentum that brings money to you without constant effort. Liquidity gives you the breathing room to make decisions from abundance rather than desperation. Ownership builds assets that generate wealth whether you are working or sleeping. Withstanding protects what you have built from the inevitable storms that test every fortune. Your flywheel is the circular engine that feeds itself. Every satisfied customer becomes a source of referrals. Every piece of value you deliver enhances your reputation, which attracts better opportunities at higher prices. Every skill you develop makes you more valuable in the marketplace. This is different from the linear thinking that dominates most people's approach to money, where they believe more hours automatically equals more dollars. The flywheel operates on compound momentum. Early turns of the wheel require significant effort, but each revolution makes the next one easier until the wheel spins almost effortlessly under its own power. Building your flywheel starts with identifying what makes people not just buy from you once, but recommend you to others repeatedly. This goes beyond delivering what you promise. It means creating experiences that people want to share, because sharing makes them look good. When someone refers you to their friend, they're essentially saying, "I have good judgment about people worth knowing." Make sure that judgment pays off spectacularly. The second element, liquidity, is your financial flexibility. This is not just about having money in the bank, though that matters greatly. Liquidity means having options when opportunities arise and obstacles appear. It means being able to say yes to the right deals and no to the wrong ones without financial pressure clouding your judgment. Liquidity is what allows you to invest in yourself, take calculated risks, and weather temporary setbacks without panic. Most people operate with negative liquidity, spending money they have not yet earned and committing to obligations they cannot easily escape. This forces them into survival mode, where every decision must produce immediate results. When you operate from liquidity, you can play longer-term games that produce better outcomes. You can afford to build relationships before asking for business. You can invest in skills that pay off over years rather than weeks. You can choose quality over speed because you are not desperate for quick cash. Ownership is where wealth becomes permanent. Everything else you have learned in this book can make you money, but ownership makes you wealthy. When you own assets that produce income without your direct involvement, you have crossed the line from earning money to having money work for you. This could mean owning a business that operates without your daily presence, intellectual property that generates ongoing royalties, or investments that appreciate and produce income over time. The key to effective ownership is understanding the difference between assets and liabilities disguised as assets. A true asset puts money in your pocket regularly without requiring your time. Many things people think of as assets are actually time-consuming hobbies that might appreciate in value someday. Focus on building or acquiring assets that produce measurable cash flow from the beginning. Then use that cash flow to acquire assets that focus more on appreciation. Withstanding is your defense against the forces that destroy wealth. Every fortune faces tests. Markets change, competitors emerge, personal challenges arise, and economic cycles turn. The wealthy stay wealthy because they build their financial lives to withstand these inevitable pressures. This means maintaining reserves, diversifying income sources, avoiding excessive debt, and making decisions that might sacrifice short-term gains for long-term security. Withstanding also means protecting yourself from your own success. Many people who achieve sudden wealth lose it quickly because they were not prepared for the challenges that come with having money. Higher visibility brings more requests for help, more investment opportunities, and more ways to spend foolishly. Having money often makes people feel richer than they actually are, leading to lifestyle inflation that consumes their newfound wealth faster than they can replenish it. The integration of these 4 elements creates what I call your wealth operating system. This is not just a collection of strategies, but a complete approach to how money moves through your life. Like any operating system, it runs in the background, automatically handling routine functions so you can focus on higher-level activities. Your wealth operating system includes the habits that generate income, the processes that protect and grow your money, and the decision-making frameworks that keep you moving toward greater abundance. When your wealth operating system is functioning properly, money feels different. Instead of constantly worrying about having enough, you start thinking about how to deploy what you have most effectively. Instead of trading time for money in linear exchanges, you look for ways to create value that scales beyond your personal efforts. Instead of spending everything you earn, you automatically allocate portions to different purposes before you have a chance to spend impulsively. This transformation does not happen overnight, but it does happen predictably for people who commit to the process. You start by applying the laws and principles consistently until they become second nature. You focus on one vehicle until you have mastered it completely. You take daily action until momentum builds. You make small decisions carefully until compounding takes effect. You protect what you build until security allows for greater risk-taking. Eventually, all these elements combine into a system that generates wealth naturally. The ultimate result is that money stops being a source of stress and starts being a tool for creating the life you truly want. You stop thinking about money as something scarce that must be hoarded and start thinking about it as something abundant that should be circulated wisely. You stop making decisions based on fear of not having enough and start making decisions based on the opportunities that abundance creates. When you reach this point, you discover something remarkable. Money does not just flow to you more easily, it also stays with you more readily. This happens because you have developed the skills and systems that created your wealth in the first place. If you lost everything tomorrow, you would know exactly how to rebuild, because wealth is not something you have, it is something you do. The doing becomes so natural that the having becomes inevitable. Your relationship with money transforms from scarcity to stewardship. You understand that wealth is not just about accumulating resources for yourself, but about creating value for others while building financial freedom for yourself and your loved ones. Money becomes a tool for expressing your values and amplifying your impact, rather than a scorecard that determines your worth. This is the true science of getting rich. It is not about finding secret formulas or lucky breaks. It is about becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts and retains wealth by consistently creating value, building systems, and making wise decisions. When you master this science, money flows to you naturally and never leaves because you have created the conditions where it can thrive.